Chicken. Fried chicken. It makes the world go round. Think about it. Have you ever seen a person not like fried chicken? I don't think so. But what about the pecans? KFC has that base covered too. You've seen his face on every bucket. The iconic white suit, the powerful black string tie, and that all too familiar smile. But did you know that the man behind the chicken failed at almost everything before becoming a trailblazing legend? Let me tell you about how the Colonel paved the way for all that came after him, leading us into the... Harlan David Sanders was born on September 9th, 1890 in Henryville, Indiana. But life there wasn't easy. His father passed away when he was just 6 years old, and his mother had to work long hours at a tomato cannery to keep food on the table. That left young Harlan in charge of feeding his younger siblings. And he wasn't making simple food either. Sanders had an aptitude for cooking, and by the time he was 7, he had already mastered several regional dishes. But life got harder. At 13, he dropped out of school and left home. He bounced between jobs, failing at nearly everything he had tried. The struggle was seen throughout his early life, when Sanders worked as a streetcar conductor, railroad worker, firefighter, was enlisted in the army, and worked as a lawyer, but in some way or another lost all of these jobs. And by the time he was 40, he had lost more jobs than most people have in a lifetime, but he didn't let anything stop him, and he kept his hustle. In 1929, Sanders got his big break. He opened Sanders Cafe, a small restaurant inside a gas station in Corbin, Kentucky. Travelers came for a place to rest, but stayed for his home-cooked meals, especially his fried chicken. Then, in the 1930s, he discovered a game-changing invention, the pressure cooker. After experimenting, he was closer to perfecting the iconic chicken recipe that made it crispy, juicy, and cooked within minutes. Sanders chicken was so wildly popular that in 1935, he received an honorary colonel's title from the governor of Kentucky himself. By 1939, he had finalized his now legendary finger-licking-good recipe of 11 herbs and spices. So top secret that even today, only a handful of people know the full blend. Fast forward on the KFC timeline, and the Colonel is now 62 years old. Most people will be thinking about retirement, but not Sanders. Instead, he hit the road, going door to door to convince restaurant owners to sell his chicken. But what was his pitch? He'd personally cook a batch for them. If they liked it, they put it on their menu. And through a handshake deal with a verbal agreement, he was promised to make a nickel per sale. The Colonel was rejected 1,009 times, but in 1955, the 1,010th restaurant agreed, leading to the birth of the first ever KFC in Salt Lake, Utah. One by one, restaurants signed up, and by 1964, KFC had over 600 locations in both the US and Canada, and Sanders was making $300,000 a year. That same year, he decided to sell KFC for $2 million, but only on one condition. He kept a seat on the board to protect his brand's authenticity. Sanders wasn't just a businessman. He was also a leader who demanded excellence. His leadership style combined autocratic leadership, where he personally inspected franchises and would publicly criticize any location that didn't meet his standards. Even after selling KFC, he sued the new owners when he thought they were lower in quality. Visionary leadership. He had a clear vision for KFC and pioneered franchising, turning a small operation into a global powerhouse. And pace-setting leadership. Sanders set high standards and expected his franchises to maintain them. He personally traveled to cook for restaurant owners, leading by example. His relentless drive helped shape KFC into the fast food giant that it is today. Colonel Sanders didn't just build a restaurant, he changed the fast food industry forever. He pioneered franchising. Before KFC, few restaurants operated on such a large scale. Today, fast food chains use his model to expand worldwide. He proved branding matters. His white suit and southern charm weren't just a look, they were a marketing masterpiece. He made fried chicken global. Today, KFC operates in 150 countries, serving millions of customers every day. And that pressure cooker that he previewed in the 30s? It's still used in KFC kitchens worldwide. All in all, failure is not the end. Sanders failed countless times before finding success in his 60s. So remember, you're not just eating chicken, you're tasting the legacy of a man who refused to give up, no matter how many times he failed.